Good day, beautiful folks. I had a friend on Facebook post that he's realizing that most relationships are transactional. And so that made me think that, yes, they are. That's what a relationship is. There's a give and a take in any type of relationship that you have. Um, I made a post quite a few years ago. I said that the only relationship that is not conditional is a relationship between a parent and a child. That's the only one that's not conditional. A parent is going to love their child regardless, and a child is most likely going to love their parent regardless, with nothing in return. Um, and that's a bond and a relationship that can never be broken. Yeah, you have other family members and things like that, but it's never the same as a parent and a child. There's no other love like it. So, with that being said, all other types of relationships are usually transactional, or they can be broken in some way. If you don't want to deal with that person anymore, you don't have to. If you're married to someone you don't want to be anymore, you don't have to be anymore. So that's a transactional, relationship. And of course there are other family members. Of course you can't get rid of a family member, but usually between a parent and a child, that's one that's you're going to try to keep together and mend as much as possible. So any other types of relationships, like if you have a cousin or aunt or uncle and y'all just can't get along, you just cut that person off. You understand? That's what I'm saying. So when it comes to relationships being transactional, he was talking about in a romantic way. And I think, and most people will agree, that the love thing and all of this romance and stuff like that, this is a fairly new concept. Of course there was love, and you'd want to have certain feelings towards your spouse, but in some of these other countries, I'm not going to say most, but some of them, and historically, some marriages are arranged. Sometimes you don't even see your spouse before you marry them. You don't get to choose. There is dowry involved, whether it be money, jewels, cows, animals, whatever the dowry is. You have people that got married to build alliances, like kings or nobles or whatnot, who married the daughter or sister of somebody else in another territory or country so that they could, build alliances and things like that. And in certain cases like that, love had nothing to do with it. It was, is this beneficial for my family? Is it beneficial for your family and future generations, and what it is that we're trying to accomplish? So the love and the romance thing is fairly modern, and I would dare to say that it's a fairly westernized way of thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course you want to feel a certain way about your spouse. You want to love them. All I'm saying is that this is not something that is global, okay? And we can't force this way of thinking on everyone. This is the way we think, the way we've been brought up. This is our culture for, love to be at the top of everything. Now, with that being said, a lot of people get upset with women when they're looking for resources. And so it's kind of confusing because, a lot of people want women to be traditional. Okay, so you want them to be traditional and work like modern people work? Or do you want traditional, like a fully traditional woman that, took care of the home, cooked the meals, prepared the meals, took care of the children, didn't send children out to daycare, laundered the clothes, and, was in the home, a homemaker? So you want that traditional, or you want some of the traditional parts, but some of the modern parts, because you want that her income coming in, and you want, to alleviate some of the pressure of that. So it's like, okay, you want traditional or you want traditional? Which one do you want? So, some people just really need to clarify that, and it puts women in a really a really tough spot sometimes. Okay, I have to take care of myself, but you know, unfortunately, a lot of women don't get married, or they don't stay married, and so there's the fact that, okay, well, I have to take care of myself. They have to take care of themselves, and if they get children out of the relationship, they'll have to be responsible for the children sometimes, solely responsible for the children sometimes, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a toss up there, you know. But yeah, as far as relationships being transactional, I would typically say that yes, yes, a man expects a certain, you know, way of life when he when he brings a wife into his life. He expects certain things, and a woman expects certain things. A woman expects to be loved, honored, taken care of, protected, things like that. And I think, unfortunately, the lines get crossed because today we go straight to, hey, this is what I want, and women get labeled as gold digger. But it's not necessarily always her being a gold digger. It's her saying, hey, I would like some stability. I would like to know that I will be provided for in times where I'm pregnant or I'm down or whatever is going on. You know, I want to know that I have that stability and that security. And it just happens to be that that is money in our culture. In our culture, it is not cows. In our culture, it's not stones. It's not rocks. It's not, you know, pebbles or shells. In our culture, it is money. So that's what makes that woman feel secure, because that is the item of trade that will afford her to be able to take care of her responsibilities and her children, you know, if anything were to happen. And so, unfortunately, a lot of women get labeled as gold diggers when it's just that, hey, okay, money is the medium of trade in this country, in this culture. So, okay, that's what she's going to look for. If she was living in another country where cows were the medium of exchange, she would probably want the man with the most cows to secure her, you know, secure her life and to ensure her children being taken care of in the future. So, you know, that's just something that gets lost in the wind there. And of course, when a man gets married, he's looking for certain things. He wants not necessarily to be nurtured, but to be nurtured, like, you know, nutritionally. Like, he would expect a meal when he gets home. He would expect, you know, a clean home. He would expect children to be clean and to be taken care of as well. So those are just certain things that are expected when you get into a marriage. Therefore, it is transactional. You expect something from your husband, and a husband is going to expect certain things from a wife. It is transactional. And unfortunately, in this country, you know, divorce is a big business. Of course, you got your judges, your lawyers, your courts, and whatever other entities that make money off of divorces. But it really becomes transactional when there's a divorce involved, because then you realize that marriage is most definitely a contract. And it is a bonding contract, and then you end up having to split things monetarily and things of that nature. So yes, it is most definitely transactional. Any way you want to look at it, any way you try to slice it, you can say that, you know, well, people don't get married for love anymore, but, you know, love is great. You need love, but you also need respect. You also need security, stability. You need finances to live, to buy food, to buy clothing, to get access to clean water, education, shelter. You can't, it's just not just about love. You know, we have to stop trying to gaslight people and say, oh, well, love should be enough. In theory, it should be, but in actuality, come on now, we need some things to survive, and people are going to be looking for those things. They're going to be looking for the things that are going to, enhance their life, you know, and sometimes love is just not enough. It's just not enough. It's enough to get you through in certain circumstances, yes, but it's one thing to go into a situation that you know is going to be hard on you, and is going to be stressful and strenuous financially. It's another thing to come into hard times over time. And I'm not saying that it's all about money and finances. It's not all about that. However, we have to stop downplaying the fact that it is important, because it's something that is much needed, to get along, especially in our society. We live in a capitalistic society, and people have to remember that, But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit about relationships being transactional. Again, almost all relationships are transactional unless it's family, and especially if it's between a parent and a child. All other types of relationships are transactional, and they become transactional when you can do without that person, when you can get rid of that person, never see them again, you don't need them for anything. That's a transactional relationship. Okay, so yes, I want to thank you all for watching. Give me your questions, comments, and your concerns, and your thoughts on this situation as well. Thank you.